Okay, so there are a couple of comments that I saw in response to my video about hell. And I thought these might be interesting to kind of address together. I'm not going to read them, but basically, one was asking me if I had heard of the annihilationist view of hell. Of course. And some version of that, I guess I have kind of an esoteric version of the annihilationist view of hell, if you really want to get into my actual views about hell. And then someone else says, I thought you believed in reincarnation. And I've seen a couple of comments kind of along those lines, kind of confused that, wait, you like advocate the reincarnation view and now you're talking about hell. Do you believe in hell? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you see the two as compatible somehow? Yeah, I see the two as compatible. My view includes both. And it kind of relates to the annihilationist view of hell. So, for anyone that doesn't know, first of all, kind of the annihilationist view of hell is the idea that hell is basically eternal in consequence, right? But not in duration or subjective experience. So it's not that souls are being tortured for all of eternity. It's that um, you're basically cast into, the lake of fire or whatever you want to call it, and you are destroyed. You are annihilated, and that is eternal. You're never coming back. So hell is eternal, but eternal in its consequence. Something like that basically is my view, except I don't believe that anything real is ever actually destroyed. I think that all that is actually destroyed is that which never actually existed to begin with. So, in a way, you could say hell itself is an illusion. But then my view is also that evil is an illusion. And I've kind of talked about the idea some people might be kind of like NPCs. In other words, people that essentially have no soul. So if those people are annihilated, destroyed, is that unjust, right? If I have an imaginary friend, it doesn't really exist, and all of a sudden, I'm cured of my schizophrenia or whatever, my imaginary friend is now annihilated eternally in consequence, but no one has suffered. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think there are, let me put it this way, because someone else mentioned the idea of, well, surely hell would be immoral or maybe not perfectly just because, in some sense, the whole idea of reincarnation is kind of like purifying gold. You put impure gold in the cauldron, heat it, to purify it, separate it from the dross, and so on. That kind of thing. I'm not a metallurgist, but that's kind of the idea. The thing is, once you have finished that process and you've completely purified the gold, what do you do with the dross? Of what use is it? Wouldn't you destroy it, throw it out, um, throw it in the trash heap, or whatever? Like, you're getting rid of it. It's of no use. It's of no value. The same is true in the grand alchemical process of separating the true self from the false self, which is the whole point of this little divine experiment that we call the cosmos. So, once every soul has been purified and rejoined to the one, however you want to conceptualize that, whatever terminology you want to use to describe whatever the end goal of all of this is. What to do with this world of illusion? what to do with the not self or the carnal self, right? Because your experience is that you're kind of a soul and you're torn between the true self and the spiritual pleasures of the higher world and the false self or the carnal egoic self and the false pleasures of this illusory world. Which do you identify with? Which one is your true self? If your true self, who you really are, is spiritual, you have nothing to fear about hell. That which is eternal can never be annihilated, right? And I believe in the immortality of the spirit. If we talk about the immortality of the soul, because I do view man as a trichotomy, that could get a little bit more sticky. To avoid that whole rabbit trail, let me just basically say I believe in the immortality of the soul, right? And let me use spirit and soul as more or less interchangeable for the purposes of this discussion. If you are completely identified with the carnal self, the egoic self, like that is what you are. There is nothing to you other than the carnal self or, the egoic self. Then you're basically an NPC. You are wholly identified with the not self. You are a temporal expression of the not self. And just like the not self, the demiurge, will ultimately be annihilated when this illusion, when God wakes up from this dream. What happens to all these people in the dream when the dreamer wakes up? That's hell. Annihilation. God wakes up from his dream. He escapes from this world of illusion, and everything that belongs to it is gone, like a dream in the morning. That's what hell is. Okay? And that's perfectly compatible with reincarnation. You can have a series of dreams. You have this dream, that dream ends. Now you dream you're someone else in a different dream. But it's the same dreaming consciousness that is experiencing and passing through all of these dreams. And when you wake up, you remember them all, right? That's reincarnation, multiple lifetimes, and ultimately spiritual awakening and enlightenment, right? But along the way, there's a lot of little deaths, right? But ultimately, like when you wake up, all of that's gone. So I do think that you can have a view of reincarnation where, I mean, you might have a universe where beings reincarnate over and over for billions of years. But that universe is ultimately finite. It had a beginning, it has an end. It had a point of creation, and it has a point of destruction. At the point of destruction, anything that is not the dreamer, anything that is not the true self, anything that is not God, is annihilated. Okay? And that annihilation is eternal in consequence, but at the same time, nothing was destroyed because nothing that was destroyed ever existed. Do you follow me? So that is my esoteric, sort of Gnostic view of hell and how you can very easily reconcile that with reincarnation and the idea of spiritual progress and evolution across many lifetimes. So that seems like a good place to end this one. So I'll end it there. Thanks for listening. Peace.